Hello, hello, hello. I finally made it on. I tell you what, every time I get ready to go live lately, they've been hitting my internet. They hit my stream every time. Right before it's time to go live, the internet goes, it just completely shuts out and goes down. So here we go. Another tip. I've been trying to do this stream since last night. Just so you know. But before I start the stream, I wanted to say, you know, the more and more I go out in the public, the more fear I'm seeing in people's eyes, man. People are so afraid. They're so fearful, of this COVID. And they're just not realizing that, this is just the flu, people, with a little twist on it. It's not half as deadly as they're professing it to be. You guys can't walk in fear. There's no fear in Jesus, okay? There's no fear in Jesus. See if this will play. Through the blood of Jesus, my suffering's not in vain. God will get the glory. For all my soul endures. I will fear no evil. My victory is sure. Shadows cannot harm me with the threat of death. I know in whom I have believed. He's never failed me yet. He prepares a table in the midst of enemies. And when I feast with Jesus, knocks demons to their knees. I will fear no evil. I will dread no pain. Through the blood of Jesus, my suffering's not in vain. God will get the glory for all my soul endures. I will fear no evil. My victory is sure. Though I may be wounded, I will not retreat. No weapon formed against my soul will triumph over me. Every tongue that rises in judgment, God will stop. He said the battle is his. He'll get it all. He's God. I will fear no evil. I will dread no pain. Through the blood of Jesus, my suffering's not in vain. God will get the glory for all my soul endures. I will fear no evil. My victory is sure. I will fear no evil. I will dread no pain. Through the blood of Jesus, my suffering's not in vain. God will get the glory for all my soul endures. I will fear no evil. My victory is sure. God will get the glory for all my soul endures. I will fear no evil. My victory is sure. Amen. My suffering's not in vain. My suffering's not in Amen. And amen. All right. I love that song. It's really, really awesome. But you know what, like I was saying, I go out in public and man, I just see the fear all in people's eyes, you know, see the fear on their faces. And I just wanted to ask them, got Jesus? I mean, you guys remember Isaiah 54:17. No weapon formed against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. And this is your heritage of the servants of the Lord, and this is their vindication from me, declares the Lord. But in that coming day, no weapon formed against you will prosper. You will silence every voice raised up to accuse you. These benefits are enjoyed by the servants of the Lord. Their vindication will come from me. I, the Lord, have spoken. Amen. Amen. So basically, I wanted to do this stream today just, for friends and family members who've asked. I need to connect. Nice to see you. Who've had questions about targeting individuals. Okay. So I wanted to just try to give a little bit of information for people that aren't very knowledgeable on it. So a targeted individual, is an ordinary person, who's exposed to forms of psychological torture carried out by these other people. We don't know exactly who it is. Some say the government, some say evil beings. We just really don't know. And these attacks, they're occurring everywhere, all around the world. And it's being done, out in the open through electronic harassment, gang stalking, constant scrutiny. I mean, you only see them if they want you to, right? I mean, there's no way to make them stop, and they will continue doing it regardless of your behavior or choice to obey or not to obey, and those are targeted. You can ask anybody who professes to be a targeted individual. We wake up every day, if we even make it to bed, saying, oh, what fresh hell is going to come today, because you just never know. You just never know, what their choice of torture is going to be for that day, and I thought I would just try to raise awareness, and help individuals who are going through the same experience, to gain insights, So the definition of knowledge is a familiarity or an awareness or understanding of something, such as facts or information or skills, which is, acquired through experience or education by perceiving or discovering or learning. And society played as an important role in how we developed. It placed a filter over our brains, but now it can be taken off. And you can, find more about that through this. There's a website. In a minute, I'll give you that website if you're interested. Now, the more you learn, you start realizing how little you really know. I mean, if you are not, one of the targeted individuals and never came across any of us, by now, then you may have gotten a little impatient. But for sure, you'll want to read, the next part that's going to be in that website that I'm going to give you in a minute. So, perhaps you read the book 1984, and it was published in 1949 by English author George Orwell. Check that one out, okay? Or maybe you've heard about MK Ultra or CIA mind control experiments, that took place in between the 1950s and the 70s on unwilling citizens of the USA. And there's plenty of information, about the disclosed files all around the internet. And more recently,
increased surveillance and invasion of privacy by companies like Facebook. You might have heard, of the Cambridge Analytical scandal, or by governments on the pretext of national security. It starts to make us wonder if they behave more like, authoritarian, regimes. Read between the lines and you'll figure that out. Start to distinguish between, fantasy and reality. But now this goes deeper than you know. I mean, basically, Earth is trapped under a massive scheme, and it's been a very big one, and it's been a very long time, and it's nothing new. I mean, reality, as it's advertised, doesn't exist, and you've been living in a dream world. I mean, all I can say is there's so many hidden works, there's so many hidden symbols, all around the planet. All you have to do is just dig deeper to see all this stuff, you know. And diving deep into uncharted territory, their scope might be like world dominance or complete control over the human race through surgically inserted implants or something of that nature. I mean, but we can never, like, prevent that, I mean, they're trying to associate this term with mental illness, like schizophrenia or bipolar disorder or psychosis, spreading false rumors or dispensing the exposure to extreme stress and conditions, you know, and marking down those who try to speak up, for another unknown reason. You are not crazy. You know how easy ignorant people start believing. I mean, we're all the same, deep down. We weren't born with knowledge about this world, and our brains, they learned from all around us, and we trusted our parents and we believed them because we had no reason not to. What if our parents didn't know everything, and they got things wrong? They got it the wrong way, you know? I mean, we're just humans after all. And it's time basically to cut the cord, and question what they knew or question what the people around us knew. I mean, there's so many things that happen to targeted individuals. So many horrific things, you know, gaslighting, B2K, you know. They do so many crazy things just to make us all look insane. And there's this one page I want to pull up. I mean, there's mind control manipulation. There's so many things. I wish I would have had somebody else on here with me to help me out with this. Okay, let me come back over here and share my screen right quick. So I don't know if anybody's with me. Hey, I've got 8 people. Hi, Chappelle. Hi, Claire Joy. Hi, Wayne. Hi, Strong Minded. Amy. Need to connect. Okay. Hope I don't botch this up too bad, guys. I'm trying. Let me share my screen. Show what I found. We can read this together if y'all want to. Okay. Here we go. Guys. Make sure it's sharing, because every time I try to share my screen, it gets kooky on me. Here we go. Hope everybody can see that. So, thousands of people are convinced they're in the Truman Show. And you have no idea how many times, you guys, I've heard people say that, just over the past year. Okay, so it says, convinced he was being watched by the government agencies, Liam Warner would turn up to his vocational training in Sydney with cameras strapped to his body. A skilled tradesman who was studying construction in the 23-year-old's life was anything but the strange Truman Show existence he says he now lives out. Now, for Warner, everything from receiving bad grades to students bullying him was clandestine tactics, and the government used to derail him. His neighbors, classmates, and colleagues were all part of a government operation to torture and stalk him. Now, my phone calls and all social were bugged, and everybody knew what I was doing, and I started hearing a lot of sudden rumors about myself. And it wasn't that hard to figure out, Warner said. So, not too dissimilar from 1998 movie, The Truman Show, he said his life social media feeds were broadcasted to entertain our, and it was this line of thinking that got Warner fired from a construction work site. And Warner insisted that his coworkers and boss were perpetrators and posted their photos online to expose them. And he had sought refuge in Dubai, where he now lives with his girlfriend. But Warner's experience is far from isolated. Social media is flooded with thousands of groups from all over the world, similar story. Gang stalking, and they call themselves target individuals and believe that they're victims of mind control and hypnosis, are being tortured by electronic weapons, stalked by the government, and even have microchip under their skin. Now, Elias Abjouard, a professor of psychiatry at Stanford University, I probably botched his name, and the author of Virtually You, The Dangerous Powers of the E personality, said the paranoia often associated with gang stalking was a common delusion in schizophrenia, and that is bullshit. I'm telling you now. I've been tested. I've had CAT scans, I've had MMR, MRI. They've tested my brain. I am not schizophrenic, and I'm not psychotic or nothing of that nature. Now, the internet, it strengthened this delusional system because it's extended the reach of governments and individuals in powerful and highly intrusive ways. And you'll always find friends on social networks who agree with you. And it's become much harder to convince people in general about the inaccuracy of, their beliefs, that guy says. Now, of course, news of actual internet mediated mass surveillance by governments, such as the Snowden revelations in U.S., do little to help Assange and the fears of paranoid individuals. Now, targeted individuals are estimated to be in the thousands, and many are from the most vulnerable tiers of society. And one of these self-described victims is Robin Schumer, a 57-year-old from Oregon, who says she's been a targeted individual for 7 years. Now, Schumer has spent much of her life homeless, scampering in and out of shelters. She claims she was first targeted by the U.S. Army, who performed technological drills on her and disintegrating her teeth with their electronic weapons. And the weapons hurt. And they have technology where you can hear them talking through your nasal cavities. Been there, done that. They throw your sleeping rhythms off. Yes. They'll poison your food. They'll hit a spot in the back of your neck to increase your alcohol content when you've been drinking, she said. Now, growing up in foster care, Schumer was forced to leave home at an early age due to her mother also being a targeted individual. To her mother, who was diagnosed with 5 personalities, Schumer's house was a hot box where they baked her daughter with microwave radio waves as a form of systematic torture. Her mother's last poignant words to Schumer were, "They've got you." It was only shortly after that the voices in Schumer's head appeared, which she took, a confirmation that her mother was right. Now, at the time, Schumer was unemployed due to an injury and financially drained. But she also admits that she felt isolated after her mother's death, having little contact with her adult children. Now, anyone not surrounded by friends and family and has isolated themselves in a very susceptible, they're very susceptible to being targeted by mind control and hypnotism. And they need to talk things out and have a real friend with them, and that's the problem. You don't know who to trust, she said. Don't we all know that? Now, Schumer considers herself a mentor, supporting other targeted individuals through Facebook groups. And she said she knows too many people who've taken their lives after being gang stalked or targeted. Some souls just are so new, they just can't take it. They just can't take it, so they have to leave this place. That's the best way I can describe it to y'all. I mean, I try to find people going through this and let them know that they're not crazy. To anybody that's being gang stalked, keep your head. Don't let it stop you from living your life, she said. Now, we're dealing with something nefarious, and it's in Italy, it's in Holland, it's in Brazil. There are targeted individual sites all over the world. The big question is who's behind it? You know? So that's about it. So how many of you guys have heard about Kim Jong-un being dead? I reported it a couple of days ago. I think it was 2 days ago. Okay, and she's back. So, hey there, Jennifer Burns. Hey, Andy. So, hi, Giggles. So, you guys, how many of you have heard about Kim Jong Un being dead, him being deceased? I think it was 2 nights ago I reported on it. On the Asian news channels and stuff, they're reporting he's passed, but they're still not saying anything over here in the U.S. Isn't that crazy? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Andy. Every time when I get ready to do a stream lately, they shut me down, man. My internet, just completely, my router, it turns red or in the middle of the stream. So I'm doing the best I can, but they hit me pretty hard. Just about anytime I try to go live and try to speak truth, they did this to me. What, Claire, Joy, what were you saying about Bill Gates, huh? I think Bill Gates is the devil. Not literally, but he's closely related, I'm sure. He's some kind of lizard. I mean, they're sitting here in our faces admitting exactly to what their plan is, Look at the Georgia Guidestones, the population reduction. Yeah. But, I mean, but seriously, anytime I've had people ask me to kind of describe, targeting, it's for each individual, their targeting is different. There's no two people that have exactly the same targeting. But I can tell you that Cheryl Lewis and I have been having the exact same thing in our ears. We're having the exact same thing in the same ear, the same drainage and everything right now. Yeah, and isn't it crazy that she and I both are named Cheryl Ann, and we're both having the same symptoms? Yeah. Doo 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 doo. Yeah, it's a little crazy. But anyway, I'm just sitting here and waiting for my husband to get back. Let's see. Today my eyes are so bad I can hardly see anything. I found my glasses. I just had them on my head. I lost them. I believe Tim is involved with the brain research, and Bill Gates is connected. Yeah, that's very, very plausible, very feasible. They've been using mind control and experiments for the past 60 plus years, proven. Yeah, I believe that. I absolutely believe that. There's a lot. There's a lot of stuff going on, in those the deep underground military bases, where the domes, called domes, you know, and a lot of people, believe that they're being abducted by aliens. But how many of y'all think that maybe some of these people are targeted individuals and they're being drugged? You know, I mean, it's very, very possible. Some of these people, they could be drugged. And that's maybe they're having hallucinations, or they're being made to see aliens when really maybe it's just government agents taking them and, you know, testing on them. For a while, you guys, I had these weird feelings that there's something about people that are targeted, something about our DNA, something about our past, our bloodline, our heritage that we don't know about. And maybe it's very valuable to these uh, entities, that are trying to make these hybrids. Because, anybody who knows about the Bible talks about in the end times, men's hearts will fail them for fear of things coming up on the earth. They're coming up on the earth. That means they're coming from underground. And Revelation talks about, the scorpions, and it talks about the locusts. Well, those aren't literal scorpions, and they're not literal locusts. What those are hybrid beings, you know, like back when the fallen angels polluted all of mankind and everything on the planet, because they tried to get away from God's creation and make their own creation, right? And I know that sounds really freaky and creepy to people who don't believe in the Bible, but it's all there in black and white, you know. And I don't know. There's something that just resonates with me and tells me that maybe a lot of the testing and stuff that's going on has to do with that, Maybe they're trying to discover something in our bloodline. Hey, Nix. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, there are TIs that go through this stuff, Nix. There are TIs that get experimented on and things too. Yeah, absolutely. Some of these people call themselves abducted, right? But there's some TIs that also go through this. Matter of fact, I've spoken to at least 4 people that recall being abducted right out of their bedrooms and waking up in a place that looked like a spaceship, you know. Now, I don't know if that's mind control. I don't know what's going on. None of us really know. But I can tell you that's a fact. Yeah, you're right, Amy, the Nephilim. hmm You know, I mean, all this stuff I think is connected. I just I just really feel like, I don't know. You know what else I've heard, you guys? I've heard that there's some people that are targeted because they pissed off the wrong people. Y'all think that's factual? Do you think they pissed off the wrong people? They might have relatives, or they themselves, whoever people that they've angered, you know, and that's what has caused some of these people to become targeted. Because I've heard that too. The trauma-based mind control. In some of those instances, they're trying to split people's minds, right? They're trying to give us multiple personalities. Because if we have multiple personalities, then they can make us do things, for them. We won't even know it. I've seen some articles on that too. You know, I mean, there's Amy, you have no idea. There's so many different ways that these evil assholes, pardon my French, get have to torture. There's so much that goes on. Every part of your body, is microwave and fried. You feel like you're having the crap beat out of you, on a regular basis. And some people can't even get, like Jennifer. Jennifer, she's one of the ones that said she sometimes she feels like her body weighs 500 pounds. She can barely get up and walk around and move around. You know. Nick said he was referring to this. Let me see. Nick, my eyes are real bad today, honey. Hang on a second. Let me put it over here so I can see it. I was referring to the celeb. Okay, I believe they. Yeah, under CIA. Okay, okay. Thank you, Nick. Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah. Wow. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Andy. Let's see. Here, it's almost like everyone is targeted in some form, and it's whether how they choose to let the target know. Yeah. Oh, well, some days I can get up and I can function, you know what I mean? But other days, I can barely even get up. I can barely even brush my hair, you know? I mean, I know all of us, I know all of you are going through the same thing. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, yesterday was really a bad day. I was sick all day yesterday. And then Amy, I don't know if you know this or not, but Chelsea, my daughter, she had her first patient die of COVID on Friday. It was a 53-year-old Hispanic lady. So today they're testing to my daughter. They're testing my daughter Chelsea to see if she got exposed to it. Because I know a bunch of us, I've heard a bunch of us say, you know, well, I've never known of anybody who died of COVID, right? I mean, we've all, probably not y'all in this particular group, but, you know, in a different group, a bunch of us have said that, you know. We didn't know anybody who had died from COVID. And I can say it's official now, guys, you know. Let's just pray for my daughter that she, wasn't exposed to it. Now, she said she was masked and she was gloved. So let's just pray that she, was covered. I'd hate to hear, a kid come down with it like that, But anyway. Yeah, me too. I've been praying for all weekend, Amy. You know, that's the bad thing about working in the medical field. You know what I mean? Yeah. I meant to say not TIs. Okay, next. It's okay. You're still awesome. We still love you, next. Okay. All right. Let me look over here right quick. So we can find another article. I found another article. I found a couple of them, and next I've been following, your guidance. I've been reading through these and, trying to weed out what's real and what's fake because there is a lot of false information that's put out there. I mean, for me, basically, I think it's just common sense. Common sense tells you. There was one that I had seen that was given like patents. Have any of you guys? I'm sure y'all have. I'm sure y'all researched all this stuff. So you can't research it anymore. See, y'all are just now starting to get me like that. It's because I love you guys. I mean, for the longest time, I was the opposite from most of you guys. I tried not to focus on it because it made me feel like more. I don't know. Made me feel more of a weirdo than I already am. And I just tried to put my focus on other places, and I didn't want to talk about it and stuff like that. And really, just since I met Next, like maybe a year ago, I just really started talking about it. Before then, I always kept it all to myself. And before then, I really, I knew all this stuff was happening to me, but I didn't know about targeted individuals. I didn't know, and when I found out, it was like, oh my God. I mean, I'm sure many of us have gone through the same thing. You know what I mean? When you discover what's going on, it's like, oh my God, this is so sick. It's so dark and so sick, you know. Oh, wow. Here's one here. It says targeted individuals can possibly be poisoned, and I believe that. I kind of felt like that's what was going on yesterday, when I was so sick to my stomach. I wanted to vomit all day. It's just really bad. See, like right now, my computer's listen to me. Here we go. Thank God it's a touch screen. It has to remind me. Maybe. Here we go. I get this pulled in. I really want to get a different computer. You know, I went from having two basically to having almost none because this one doesn't work really well. Let's just share my screen again. See if you guys have seen this article. Okay. I'm sure y'all probably have. My sister probably hasn't though. Okay. It says mind games, the tortured lives of targeted individuals. Thousands of people think that the government is using implanted chips and electronic beams to control their minds. They are desperate to prove that they are delusional. It says every month up remembers that she's been tortured. She looks down at her hands. She can see slightly raised bumps, believes she's been implanted. I gotta make it bigger. Put my glasses back on. Keep taking them off. Okay. She's been implanted. She's certain that the chips track her every move, that her family has been programmed not to listen to her, and she knows that her mind had been pushed to the limits of human endurance. And the most pain you could put on a person before they die. The targeting, the rewiring is so extreme that she can no longer even cry. Wow. It says Liza is 56, a thin, wiry woman with elf-like ears and bright eyes. An artist, grew up in the Rocky Mountains, and she worked at Microsoft for 10 years. And started her own web development company with her partner before the electronic attacks and the stalking and the surveillance began. And she knew it had to be some form of technology in her. And she'd worked in the technology industry for more than a decade. She knew what capable of. So when she saw help, the hospital committed her to a 10-day hold in the mental ward, teaching her how to calm her racing heart without addressing the technology that Liza believed was causing it. So when she was released, she found answers to her questions online. And there was an encyclopedia vocabulary to help explain what she'd experienced: gang stalking, brain computer interface, electronics. I felt really thankful, she says. I felt I was opening up the crack into a whole new universe. Liza, who asked for her changed, fearing retribution, learned that she was one of thousands of people who identify themselves as targeted A victim of human experiments, and stalked and harassed by electronic weapons. And there were others who understood together they could try to take action, and fight back, maybe find some relief. Okay. So, sorry guys. Let's see what. This is what happens. Wow, I really thought this. That's crazy. Look at the big old eyeball. Let's see if I can get this to it. Maybe now. What was reading? Okay. Let's try this again. See how my computer's doing right now? I basically have no control over it. Touch screen's really minding me. Okay. So it says it was late October. Hey, get back over here. That's where I'm at. See that? Look, it just zoomed. I didn't zoom it. Zoom it for me. Now maybe I see. See what I mean? It's just. Somebody mess up scrolling on their mouse. All right. Or maybe it doesn't. So it says it was late October when my Uber slowed to a stop in the woods after dark, and my driver seemed alarmed. We'd driven to the forest outside Boston up a rocky, limited access road with a few lamps and no residences in sight. We pulled to a stop, and in the distance, it was dead quiet. Where are you going? He asked. I tried my best to explain I was there to attend the first ever Unity and Hope conference, a weekend gathering of targeted individuals. Excuse me. The TIs were there to learn and organize and to be reminded that they were not alone. It says, I'd first heard about the TI community. Oh, Lord, stop doing that. So she said, where was I at? I tried my best lane. I was there to attend the first ever Unity conference, a weekend gathering. Okay. I first heard about the TI community last summer while researching an article about RFID chips and those rice grain sized devices that can be implanted beneath the skin and used to unlock laptops and doors. People have been implanting microchips in pets as tracking devices for years. And even though the chips don't actually track locations, I don't believe that. I bet they do. They serve as virtual ID tags and that confirm the identity of a live pet. If it's listed in the database. So few people know as much about RFID chips as a biohacker named Amal Rafstra. On his website, I stumbled on a strange letter called So You Think You've Been Implanted Against Your Will, which he posted in 2016. Hello, the letter began. You're likely here because you have a problem. Graphs went on to list common symptoms. You hear voices or see lights. You believe you've been implanted with a chip against your will. And Grafstra wanted to help. He's actually a big proponent of RFID technology. He's had a chip implanted in each hand since 2005. Says to Grafstra, getting chip implants was a no-brainer, and he loves to experiment what they are capable of. Among other things, his implants allow him to unlock his car and operate a smart gun that only he can fire. But not everyone's Grafstra's perspective. After news of his implants was published in March 2005, that's a long ago, he got his first hate mail. And since then, he's received hundreds, more strange emails, from death threats to questions from worried TI. As in the beginning, when he first started hearing from people who believed they'd had chips implanted, against their will, Grafstra wrote back to him, okay, this person's informed. It's a normal, intelligent person who maybe has the wrong idea. He said, I tried really hard to engage. He suggested ways to verify if they really had an implant, like getting an x-ray at the doctor. And he pointed out logical, fallacies. Oh, great. My whole computer just went black. Thank you. Can I have my screen back? In Jesus' name. Thank you. Okay, so he pointed out fallacies in their beliefs, including the technical impossibility of chip implants capable of tracking an individual. This is a GPS microchip would have the same energy demands and battery problems as a smartphone. And while researchers are experimenting, with implants, that might help, treat neurodegenerative diseases or link prosthetics to neural pathways. And even the most advanced technology can make someone hear voices or experience a different reality. But his logical appeals rarely mattered for the people on the other end already made up their minds. In the weeks leading up to the Hope Indie Conference, I'd spoken to a few TIs over the phone in desperation as Grafstra. And I'd never met. And walking up to the buildings the first night, I said hello to a few people gathered outside in the cafeteria. And it was the main eating area, and it was rock played from the sound system. And most white drank tea and ate brownies under lights. They were for the most part friendly and talkative. A woman was suspicious of my notebook. What's a better cover story than being a writer, she said, while another thanked me deeply for listening to her story. It wasn't often that she got to tell, it without judgment or dismissal before I settled in for that night's program. Programming, there you go. We're all under programs. A screening of a documentary called Monarch, the New Phoenix program. I headed to the dorms. It says the venue was a nature education center, a summer camp for kids. But that evening, the long hallways, orange carpet, and outdated furniture seemed somehow eerie and I set my bags down in the empty room and went back to the cafeteria where the lights would soon dim for the showing. And over grainy archival footage, a monotone narrator explained the shadowy history of the CIA programs, like the original Phoenix, an assassination and torture initiative that killed as many as 40,000 suspected Viet Cong supporters during the Vietnam War. And next, the documentary reviewed the infamous MK Ultra program carried out by CIA operatives and psychologists during the Cold War. A true history that sounds like a horror film. Heavy doses of LSD, sleep deprivation, intensive electroshock therapy, and alleged experiments on children, psychological torture. So sick. MK Ultra and the Phoenix Project both sound like stuff of conspiracy theories. Pretty sure we've all learned about those. But much of what's alleged has since been documented and confirmed. So the movie doesn't stop with history, though it alleges that the secret government programs never ended. And they're still attacking U.S. citizens and people of the whole world, I believe, through covert, powerful electronic weapons today. And the victims, are the targeted individuals. The drowning narrative and disturbing imagery made me increasingly unnerved. And I left before the film ended back in my dorm room. I stayed awake late listening to sirens and tires screeching in the distance. So, about this. So she says, in the morning there were around 50 attendees gathered. In the presentation, the day began with a talk by Matthew Aaron, a PhD in neurology, who was working on an article on bioluminescent, fish, bioluminescent fish for Nature magazine. His targeting began, says, today Aaron works as a science consultant in Washington, D.C., and he began his talk with a disclaimer. So his presentation was aimed at the general public, not the expert audience in front of him. By being targeted, you know more than a non-expert could even hope to know, he said. He thanked the non-TIs who had shown up at the conference. And that shows a degree of willingness to take it on and consider it. And that's a big step, Aaron said. It's a very lonely crime that we're going through. Next hour, he detailed evidence of his own targeting, potential technologies used against him, from low-intensity microwaves, from neighbor next door, military electronic beams. And his targeting began in his apartment and eventually became so bad that he ripped off sections of the trial spots. He believed that emitted hot electric microwave energy. Now later, after he fled, Vancouver, Canada, examined the piece under a black light, spots he he found rings of fluorescent material. So the next 2 days were packed with similar dissections of targeting technology testimonials and action plans. And woman, she showed the unlikely links that popped up when she began typing code names for the CIA and MK Ultra into a local property deed website. So, I know David Voigt. David Voigt's a former naval walking across the U.S. to raise awareness of non-consensual human experimentation. And his talk moved the TIs to line up, after and shake his hand. Gratitude. During breaks and meals, TIs who had never met before discovered shared symptoms and compared notes and theories. Who was behind their targeting? Government agencies, criminal organizations, big tech companies, people in their own lives. Two ways to detect or shield themselves against technology. They were full of information and desperate to learn more. They were engineers and scientists and artists and former government and military employees. And some, like Liza, had driven more than 2,000 miles to attend. Now, I want to ask you guys, what do y'all think about one of those, one of those boxes that you make, like it shield you from EMF? Anybody experimented with one of those Faraday cages? I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering if a Faraday cage would help with B2K at least. Any of you guys know? That's right. It's so true, Amy. It's so true. Amy, this is just a tiny little piece of it. It's so much more work. It's so much torture is insane. I mean, the technology has advanced so much since the stuff I'm reading on right now. Just so you know, this is old information. So, what do you guys think? Do you think Faraday would help? I mean, I know some months ago, I watched a TED Talk where this was standing up there and he was showing how they've advanced the technology so well with, like, he had the speaker in his hand, and wherever he pointed the speaker to, it's only that one audience who could hear him. Yeah, wherever he was aiming at was the only person who could hear the sound. Insane. But they explained perfectly to a T that what we were going through right here in this house, because I live way out in the country. I've told you guys this over and over. I mean, it's dead silent up here, and my house burned down, and we did garage conversion, so I know everything I own. Okay, I know I don't own an alarm radio. And this particular case is happening. My husband actually heard it too. I mean, it would always start up at 2:00 in the morning. And it was so it would be rushed in one corner of my room. It would be really loud, and it would go all the way to about 5 or 6 a.m. It was somebody was tuning into a radio station. It was like old Asian music or 1920s and 30s music, but not the good stuff, the annoying crap. And I mean, my husband went out several times just to investigate because maybe he thought maybe the horses had turned on the radio off the barn because they do that sometimes, you know. Or maybe somebody sitting outside somewhere with a radio. As soon as you walked outside, it was dead silent. And the only place you could hear it playing was in the corner of my room. It was just inside, you know, and it went on like that, I don't know, for about 4 or 5 months. I mean, we barely got any rest at all, ever, you know. Of course, I didn't have any because I was up all night. But for him, you know, it was hell on him, you know, because he had to want everybody to work, you know. And then right in the top of my rib, it sounded like angels singing, literal, angelic, whoa, voices, you know, not human, like angelic voices. It was saying that brought me to tears, you know. And I went outside and it was dead silent. You just hear it at the top of my roof. I felt like I was cracking for real. My brain was about to just split in half. I'm sure we've all got horror stories like that, you know, or horror, horror stories. I don't know where I left off. I think it was during breaks and meals. Who had never met shared symptoms of the and compared notes from who was behind the targeting of government agencies, criminal organizations. So it wasn't the first time I had traveled far to seek a solution to the targeting, you know, of individuals. In 2014, she drove from the Midwest to New York City, sleeping in her car for 2 weeks while she met with nonprofit, and she hoped to enlist in combating the problem in the Center for Constitutional Rights, Colleges for Social Responsibility, emphasis for human rights. She hoped that someone would help put a stop to the injustice she suffered. You know? But nobody would take, you know, my story, she says, and nobody would touch it with 10 foot. You guys, isn't it only one time that targeted individuals got to go for a court system? It's 144,000. And after that, they put a stop to it. That's my memory. Correct me if I'm wrong. No. But at the conference, she and the other TIs were among people who understood them and people who spoke the same language, you know, outside the presentation. So beneath the sun and the blue sky, you know, I could momentarily, you know, forget that we were talking about mind control. I almost felt like I was at an adult camp. And at the end of the day, you know, the TIs gathered together on a heel fruit photo. And they called out, where are the target individuals, you know, on a count 3 while the camera snapped. So getting a decent photo, you know, took some. A woman responded half in jest, we can't. In the outside world, the TI beliefs are impossible in ridiculous large part because technology, you know, and paranoia have a long interconnected history. In 1810, named James Tilly Matthews, who was confined in London's infamous Bedlam's Asylum, drew a detailed illustration of a machine he called Heirloom. Now, he believed that with a gang of invisible assailants was tormenting him with gases and magnetic waves. Her theories popped up when the advent of the telegraph and cell phones more than 200 years later. And the narrative sounds, you know, startlingly familiar. So Difference. Today's prototypes are, know, energy weapons actually exist, though none are in use. The UN banned blinding laser weapons in 1998. I don't believe that. And sonic weapons have been around for decades. So, according to David Port, a psychology professor at Indiana University, Pennsylvania, technology is the perfect culprit for delusional beliefs. It's ever people. It's slightly beyond understanding. The earliest Google searches for the term target individual appeared in 2004, around the time that Grafstra got his first RFID chip implants. For the term spiked in 2013 for the Americans. It's still going on today, folded into our everyday lives. Some 8.4 million connections will be used globally this year, most of which are vulnerable to hacking and surveillance. Early this year, a German regulatory agency labeled a blind talking doll named My Friend Kayla an illegal espionage apparatus, recommending its destruction. The FDA recently approved the first pill that can track whether a patient is taking it. These big brother developments are worrying even if you are not a suspicious or paranoid person. These devices are their worst fears, realized. And the technology doesn't just spy on them, or track them, it attacks them. So finding others share your beliefs creates a storm, Laporte says. Wait for the to spiral without the internet, Laporte believes. This have never happened, nor spread quickly, nor become so deep more than 10,000. Also, what lets me each corporates, and they find a. So there you go, and it does. I mean, the issue is, our perpetrators saying bad things about others, and it's just so hard. I mean, I don't know. The last few years, just about everybody I come in real close contact with, they say they're my friends and they'll be my friend for life or whatever. And I don't know. People just managed to push away everybody that was in my life that I cared about, and then once again, I find myself isolated. None of it was by my choice. None of it was by my wrongdoing of others or anything of that nature. I don't get it. I mean, I do get it. Thanks to you guys. Thanks to you guys, I don't have to feel so sad and, brokenhearted. And I understand now why Nick says, well, that's not real. I kind of understand what you mean, Believe me, Nick, you've taught me a lot. You've affected me a lot, You've changed my thought process so much. You have no idea how much you mean to me, how much I appreciate everything you've done. Just know that. You're a very valued person in this community. Even when a-holes like that one yesterday was, saying all that crap about you, next we know you're not an actor. We know that. Because if you were an actor, you'd be the best damn actor ever and you'd be balling. You hear me? That's right. You wouldn't be broke, like the rest of us. Just saying. Hello there, Long Reach One. Good to see you, sister. It's not even letting me scroll down on my chats. Can't even scroll down on the comments. So much stuff. Des, I came across an individual this morning or last night. One. That turkey looks fried, deep fried. It's not a baked turkey no more, honey. That's a deep fried turkey. I'm starting to wonder. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to say anymore. Wow, it freaked me out. See that ball rolled so far down that hill, it's like, wow. It's not even like the same ball, this. Sorry, I'm speaking in code, guys, but I don't want to say anything else because there was something else I was going to ask y'all. What was it? About Kim Jong Un, he's died. His sister probably, more than likely, his sister's going to get on text charge, and she's even worse, than him, I perceive. She don't like you much around. She doesn't kick you to the curb. She ends you. Whoosh, you're gone. But that wasn't what I was going to ask you guys. Um, I can't think right now. As soon as I stop the stream and walking back to you, I'll be like, oh man. I'll have to write it down up where I remember to say it next time. Yeah. Anyway, anything anybody want to add? Says you should go see what was put on ABC showing what workers are having to do now. They have to go through scanner and check. Oh yeah, the temperatures. Oh yeah, yeah. I know. I mean that's been going on in China for some time now. Now if that's happening here in the U.S., I believe it. I believe it. But I mean, there's so much information out there right now that it's just mind blowing. It's just mind blowing. What's upsetting me is it's just the fear, in all these people's eyes. You know, I have not had one moment where I've sat here and thought, "Oh my God, COVID's coming to kill me." You know what I mean? I just don't have that kind of mindset. I don't have that kind of mindset. I mean, I've been taught my whole life, to walk in this wonderful, beautiful, precious, blind faith. Amy Claire is sitting right there, my little sister. She can tell you, we come from a really spiritual family. Our grandparents were just awesome people. Lord, they were awesome. You know, Papa was a deacon and an elder. My nanny was an elder. They were just good, God-fearing people. My nanny never cussed, or never drank, never smoked, or anything in their life. They were just good people. I've been taught to have this kind of faith my whole life. I'm not going to walk in fear of any of this crap. The Bible says we don't have to worry about this. We don't have to worry about anything affecting us because we're covered under the blood of Jesus. I'll keep that faith until the day I die. And I pray your faith is that strong too, Amy. Considering where you came from, the same place I did. We need to get together and go find my brother. Go find our brother. We're not that far apart, Amy. Bud's right up here in Oklahoma now, like Mom said. He's only about an hour away from me, probably, and you're just a few hours away. So we need to meet up, little sister, before it's too late and we're not able to do this anymore. We really do. You and Emily, and Mom, come this way. Let's go find Buddy. I miss him. I miss our brother, man. Anyway, guys, I guess I've taken this about as far as I can go. And Amy, I hope it helped you become a little bit more informed on all this. Because, you and a couple of other people are going to listen. My best friend was going to have to listen because I've tried to explain it, but he is a Libra and he weighs everything out. And, it's just really hard for him to even fathom all this stuff. hoping he'll open his eyes a little more, have a better understanding of what's going on. I don't know. For me, everything changed and got really, really bad in 2012. It was right around December, right around November, December 2012. Everything just changed. Nothing was normal anymore. I felt like I was Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz, clacking my heels together, saying there's no place like home, but I never got to come back home. I'm still in this weird place that I don't know what this place is, but it doesn't feel like home. It sure doesn't feel real. You see how crazy that sounds? A normal person would say, man, that lady's got psychological issues. Maybe even some TIs would think the same. I don't know. I don't know. Some people are open minded and some aren't. I don't know what to say about that. But at this point in my life, I'm 51 years old. I really don't care. I love you guys. Y'all are awesome. But, if people think I'm insane or I'm crazy, I really don't care what they think. We go through so much, and you try to tell somebody just even a little ounce of the truth of, our truth, of our reality. And their faces go blank. They give you that fluoride stare. It's what I call it. The Mandela affected stare, Amy, do you see the Mandela effect? Do you see it? Do you see all the changes taking place? Yeah, I don't do horoscopes either. Strong. I don't either. They watched your videos. Yeah, I know you're a Libra next. I know that. I remember you telling me that. Because when you told me you were a Libra, I said, "Oh, my best friend JP, Jerry Don, he's a Libra too." I said, "You have to weigh everything out. You're very balanced. That's a good thing." uh, Tina and I both are hard headed. I'm an Aries, I'm real hard headed. Tina, I don't remember what she is. Her birthday's in January. It's like the end of January. And my sister Amy's is the end of January too. You're January 24th, aren't you, Amy? Pretty sure. My sister's coming from. Yes, the Berenstein Bears. Yes. Daniel. Daniel was so affected by that too, my son Daniel. Yeah, that just really got him, you know. Went from Berenstain to Berenstain. For me, Amy, the first thing I saw was John Deere. That E showed up on the end of John Deere. And you know how I had John Deere everything because I'm so country. You know, hats, gloves, T-shirts, tractors, lawnmowers, paintings on the wall. Everything is John Deere. Lunch boxes. You know. And right there in the same time frame, the same week, Sci-Fi Channel changed from SCI-FI to SYFY. And some people say, oh, they changed it. No, well, I'm here to tell you. I used to watch TV nonstop. TV used to stay on 24/7. And mainly the only thing I ever watched was Sci-Fi Channel. And, you'd think that somebody like me would have heard them announcing that they were going to change their station identification. Just saying, you know, I never heard them announce that they were changing it. It just happened overnight. And when I saw it, I was having a cow. I was everybody that lived with me because I had all my kids living with me and all their families and kids. And I'm telling everybody, oh my God, they changed the Sci-Fi Channel. And then I went to the Asian lady store, because you can get discount T-shirts and stuff. And I noticed she had a T-shirt that had an E on the end of John Deere, and I'm like, oh well, probably because it's generic. It was like $2, so I bought it. And then I passed by the John Deere store, where they sell tractors and everything, and they had an E on the end of it, and I'm like, what the heck's going on here? Something's just wrong, you know. And from then on, it just keeps getting more and more bizarre for me, And I can't prove that we used to be on the Sagittarius arm and we're on the Orion spur now. All I can tell you is that's what I was taught. You know, have I been floating up in space to prove it? No, I haven't. Does space really exist? I don't know. It used to. Now I can't tell you. I don't even know. So see how it just keeps getting creepier? You can go from being a TI to being Mandela affected to being a weirdo who sees ghosts and spirits and demons. You know, I mean, yeah. I don't just have one facet of weird. I've got several. You know, but hey, I'm still functioning, right? If you want to call this functioning. All right, you guys. It's time for me to get out of here. I've been on here about an hour and a half, and my husband said I needed to come pick him up from there where he's making a fence. He's helping somebody do a fence today, and woohoo, he's going back to work in 2 weeks. Yay! You know, we'll have income again. How nice. You guys, everybody, thanks. Thanks for joining me, and thanks for helping me here to educate my little sister and others that may tune in. Y'all are so appreciated. And I hope to see you guys back again real soon, or if not here over on Nexus channel, or on Long Reach One's channel, or you know, on Andy's channel. You know, anybody I miss, all of you guys. Okay, you're awesome. And I'll catch y'all on the next one. Okay. Many blessings, and y'all, no fear. No fear. Do not walk in fear. Because if you have negative thoughts and you're walking in fear, they've got you. We are co-creators in this place, whether you realize it or not. So you have to maintain a high vibration, maintain a positive mindset. You know, if enough of us are staying positive, then maybe we can create something positive. If it only be temporary. You know? All right, I'll catch you on the next one. Everybody stay safe. Ciao.